What's going on, peoples? I'm Saucerer and this is Aurora, and we're going to talk about the number one things to work on if you want more money and how your nervous system and mindset affects wealth. Over to you.
Yes. So when we're talking about nervous system and mindset, those are the primary ways that we actually experience everything, right? And so when it comes to wealth, obviously how you're thinking about it and what you feel about it is going to determine how you experience it. Can you expand upon that for us in terms of what you've learned about your own mindset and how you feel in your body, maybe if you get anxious and things like that? How has that affected your wealth?
So, it all comes down to how you feel within that present moment. So, if you have obstacles, because me and Aurora have had obstacles in regards to wealth when we started off on our business adventure, and myself when I had to make a decision. Because during a time where many people will probably feel crisis, oh, I don't have this money, or I don't have enough, or you have that question mark, which is normal. I just want to let you guys know it's normal because we all go through it. We're no exception to the rule. That's just the truth and the reality. How we went on to knowing that we were going to be okay was trusting in our own abilities and understand that every situation that comes through are only lessons for us to get to a period towards the next level. And then it was funny when we had this knowingness. I had this knowingness because I left a reasonably decent role from my previous employment to starting my own business. And I said, no, I'm going to trust the process. If I'm good and if I'm great at a previous situation I was before, and I truly trust the relations that whatever happens are only breakthroughs and additions to lessons and an add on to my character, it's also going to energetically correlate towards my bank account, right? Whereas many people, the common issues lie with being in the midst of that energy of scarcity. If you're in the energy of scarcity, everything else within your energy translate to that, which is why your nervous system, which we're going around at the beginning, I'm making this a moment to tie this up, is that if you worry and you have your nervous system to have a certain panic, then everything else becomes of that frequency. Whereas if you take a moment to realize, hold on a minute, this is just part of its grandioso plan. I've got to trust the process. Everything will fall into place because it normally does. All right? Why do we normally have to assume that things go bad when we can also assume that things will go great? Because not only I had the issue, but wouldn't you agree, Aurora, that you had to go through your period of that resistance, which affected
Absolutely.
you, right?
Yeah. Um, there's a specific time I remember when we went to Miami for the first time. This was also Saucer's first time in the States. Um, we were a bit surprised by, let's say, something even like chicken or just, like
Oh,
ibuprofen, stuff like that, how much more it was in Miami than we live in London, right? And so at this time, I had already acclimatized as well to like the food and medicine prices in London. Um, I felt like scarcity while we were in Miami because I was like, oh my God, we're spending so much. Everything is so pricey. And, even when we picked an Airbnb, there was just this thought of like, okay, we have to budget, right? And so that experience, it was a lesson in perceiving money and what value actually is, and the value we actually got out of that is ever since then a lot of things that we pay for now, we're like, oh, that was nothing. You remember Miami? You know what I mean?
yeah. Just to add on to that before I know you were going to go back to that,
Mm.
but everything else became a norm in our reality the moment we accepted Miami as a reality. So we went to places such as Denmark and Sweden, who are notably quite, in terms of their cost of living, food costs, quite high, very much in the bracket of London and London, Miami as well. So when we acclimatized to the energy of Miami, everything else became normal. So we not only thrived and accepted that frequency, it became an identity that we embraced, right?
Mm-hmm.
Mm.
Let's get into the why in terms of I guess we can break it up into two portions. And the first portion would be like, why does having like a mindset of scarcity or the always having constant anxiety around money, why does that limit how much money you can receive?
Because you are what you vibrate, right?
Mm-hmm.
And everything starts with the mind. And the mind is basically just the internal factions as the root of whatever comes out towards your projection in the 3D. So if you within yourself have a scarcity of money, money becomes scarce within your 3D life, within your life that you live right now. Whereas if you live abundantly and know that you attract rather than being an energy of scarce, then you become a magnet for things, not just money, but opportunities for you to have more money, essentially, which is a form of abundance.
Let's put this in like more specific examples. And maybe you can pull from what you see with clients, but would you say that scarcity, it may not just exist constantly throughout the day, but maybe it shows up when, let's say, if someone's doing trading, right?
Amazing.
Making those calculated risk, or if someone is a business owner and maybe they have to invest in something.
Yeah, because you can tell the difference between when somebody has rich person's problem or rich people's problem to a poor person's reaction. They're two completely different polar opposites, whereas a person who's rich understands that it's just a lesson and knowing that they're most likely not going to make the same mistake again and they move on. Whereas, I hate to say it, but I'm going to be real, but clients I had to deal with really embellish the energy of what they feel is loss, and they put a lot of loss and pain as a form of that identity after that experience, which only brings even more power towards their their losses. They put power towards that, which creates a limitation. And you often hear it as people getting frustrated. I've heard people getting so angry to the point where it ruins their day. Whereas people that I've known, because I know different spectrums, normally a person with pain of scarcity and who lives in that energy at that moment really gets that what's it, there's a word for it, it's defining them for that particular day, particular week, whereas somebody on the other end is like, oh, okay, I won't do the same mistake again, but guess what, I know that things circulate and this is just my way of um, circulating the money. So understand this, it's how you view certain situations. For somebody that is rich, it's somebody that has learned. For somebody that is in a scarcity mindset, they really redefine it as a loss. They put too much power in a loss.
I love that you highlighted the idea of loss, because that's also something we've really had to learn, is that there's no such thing as a loss. And when you can get in the mindset, and again, this also ties back into the nervous system. Um, if you start to essentially train yourself that everything is going right for you, that there are no losses, there are no failures, even when it looks like a loss, surprise, it's actually working out in your favor, then that you see how that increases your capacity for how good things can get, and that includes money. So with the person who's doing the trading, if they have the mental and somatic resiliency to say like, okay, yeah, that money I just sent, I'm not going to get that back, but if there are no losses, then I know that that's going to circulate back to me. And I think you also say that you can even look at it as like a gift, right? Because it's I think you called it the law of transaction.
When you see the law of transaction, understand that money is just an energy. It is a situation where it can never be destroyed. It can only be transformed. It can only move. And the flow can either increase or decrease. How you view it dictates how quick the flow is or how slow the flow is regarding transactions. And when you are giving, you also have to remind yourself that there has to be a form that when you are giving, there will be a time when you'll be receiving too. Or when you'll be receiving, you also have to remind yourself that you also have to be giving too. So there's this as above, so below, so within, so without, right?
Mm-hmm.
And this is when it comes down to the energies regarding people that are trying to increase or better their financial relations, because a lot of people are putting a lot of power into the wants, but the issues are is how they really deal with their quote unquote lessons, or in most people who deal with financial issues, they call it their losses. We don't believe in losses, we believe in lessons, and we believe that money never loses, it circulates. And if you believe that money circulates, I guarantee you'll start to see a improvement in your financial quest for improvement of your bank account, your savings, your earnings, whatever. If your business is what it is.
One of the things as well that we practice in terms of, and again, all of this, we just bring it right on back to the nervous system and the mindset. So, one of the things we implement is ease, right? For, I think, like a good portion of us, like being our own boss and being entrepreneur, we had to work through receiving money as being hard, or building a business as being hard. But when we switch to saying, you know what, like, no, show me how easy this gets to be, holding more ease around clients, and even letting money come in not just from expected places such as the business, but opening up to unexpected too, and focusing on feeling that ease instead of always perceiving things as, oh, I have to do this and I got to make sure the strategy is right. I'm big on that one, and I've had to unlearn that. How has ease impacted your relationship with money and business and all of that?
If you, excuse me, if you truly understand that ease is one of the most underused ways for you to make more money, you will actually make more money. Because if we say, for example, the normalizing, which I don't agree with, the energy of you have to work hard. That means every time you work hard, that's the only time where you make more money. Well, how comes people don't really utilize the energy of ease to attract more money? Most nurses, doctors often are the hardest workers. That's something that can't be denied, right? But by definition, for the energy of working hard, that would mean that they should be by right billionaires by that logic. But that's a incorrect form of logic, because the people that are more likely to be earning millions, They have other people to help them make more millions. They live a life of ease. They are holding more ease than the person that is doing 60 hours a week, maybe even more, and only breaking a threshold of the average salary, right? Whereas if you work with ease, you're more likely to attract more money. You just have to work multidimensionally. You have to find different ways to multi-stream. And there are many ways to skin a cat, as what they say.
Normalizing is a big one because that's essentially what ease is. When you think about breathing, right? Unless you have like asthma or something like that, breathing is so easy that you don't even have to think about it. And in fact, if for a lot of people, if they start thinking about breathing, then it low key. Has it ever happened to you? You like when you focus too much on your breath and then you start to get paranoid of like breathing in and out?
Yes.
Yeah, that's happened to me too. And so the point is that breathing is so normal that it's easy. And so even when it comes to money, if you normalize it as not this big thing, then that also is like allows to expand your capacity for how much can come in. Because another quick story, where were we? I think when we were in Mexico, the currency conversion. This is not about like what we could spend for what we could get, but what initially got a knee jerk reaction out of me as far as scarcity is like pesos. I think like this is probably completely off, but let's say like 10 pounds is like 1,000 pesos, right?
Mm.
And my mind didn't really latch on to the peso part. It latched on to the 1,000. And so even though I knew like this is less money than like what I would spend in the UK, because that 1,000 was there, um, my little scarcity portion was like, oh my God, 1,000. And so I bring that up to say that like it really is just the normal, and the bigness and smallness of it is all about perspective. So, what are the ways that you've learned to shift? Because you told them like how they should view it, right? And the
Mm.
mindset. But what is like the actual things that you implemented to change that?
I saw a massive change the moment I changed a couple of perspectives. And for me, you've got to understand this. It's how you react to certain things that help you strengthen your energies or restore your energies. If you can't um, find better ways to ground yourself during a moment of frustration where perhaps a decision didn't go in your favor, you've had a period of using a day of frustration, you've utilized this energy in a way that only is unproductive. You've got to strengthen your thoughts and your minds in saying that this is just a version of myself that needs to learn this lesson so that it will only make me better. It will only make my outcomes better. If you're able to do this during a moment where things may be testing you, that will shift your perspective, because everything about your mindset is not just having a strong mindset for what you want, but having a perspective when things don't necessarily go in that particular moment in your way, right? Because when you're learning to adapt, you're not only learning how to move, but you're learning to strengthen yourself. And the most beautiful thing is perspective. My biggest lessons were not the amount of monies that I've made, which I'm very proud of, we're very proud of, but how we've had to circumnavigate scenarios that are like, oh, okay. But I know that this situation has happened on this moment. But it's okay, because that's our lesson. We will essentially become better because of this. And the lessons are just as valuable as what you get in their accounts. That's what people forget. It's all about the perspective, about everything is of value. Even when you perceive certain things such as losses, they're actually valuable lessons. So if you attain that everything is of value, that means you're only getting value, not just from a physical or digital currency. It is also the mental lessons that you learn that are just as valuable as the ones that you get from a payment. And that's how we have not only gone from strength to strength, but transformed it. It is the perspective and the perception of how you view certain things to increase and improve your outcome.
So you're saying that it's through reminders, right? Whether it's when you're not feeling anxious or when you are, seeing the lessons in every negative experience. And it's also like taking away the value of every moment, right? And then like just making sure it's the repetition of those things that really starts to shift your mindset.
Absolutely. You've hit it right in the head. I think you've, guys, this is something I'm very good at. I'm very good at talking. But my wife Aurora is great at just basically picking up all the gems and turning it into a massive necklace. You know what I'm saying?
Well, thank you. I with the repetition, sorry that you made me feel a bit. That was a nice compliment. But when it comes to the nervous system, the way that you actually begin to train it to handle more and to not freak out so much and to help you come out of survival mode, things like that, is actually through repetitively showing yourself that, hey, I'm okay. And it's like you're stretching the capacity for what, like your comfort zone. There we go. You're slowly stretching your comfort zone. And before you know it, your comfort zone is way out there. And yeah, you might even still feel anxiety, but how you perceive it and how you let it affect you starts to shift. And when you get to the point of like maybe even spending 200 pounds was originally a big deal, but you keep doing it right responsibly, whatever that looks like for you, and then maybe 300, and then you notice like, oh, 500. You freak out less when you spend those things, and that is a direct representation of how your relationship with money is improving.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. I think at the end of the day, I don't want to add more to that because you're on a run. Aurora's on a run. But most importantly, guys, the one thing I will say is every experience that you have, even till this day, even till the past, is essentially nuggets of gold. But it's how you need to view this as a form of value. Often people create limitations by themselves through doubt and not learning how to deal with the in the now moments. Now, if you're able to deal with the in the now moments of assessing what needs to be seen as a change of perspective, I guarantee you these lapses will change to amazing, amazing currencies of lessons that will only strengthen you going forwards if you see it as a lesson. I guarantee there's a the change itself, the change of perspective is so powerful that it will actually help you strengthen to you towards your highest your highest pathway towards accelerating even through your own resistance. It's breaking through that area of doubt, insecurities, because most of it are insecurities and doubt, and the design of your own limitations.
Yes, and just to close this off, this is arguably one of the most important points for you to take away. Money is just energy. In fact, it's neutral energy. And how money acts in your life is due to the role or how you perceive it, the judgment that you make about it. And a very popular quote that comes to mind is scared money don't make money. And so if you want to make more of it, don't be scared with it. Or in fact, let's recognize they're all human. You can feel fear, but don't confuse a feeling with a decision, right? And so, yes, you can say, you know what, right now I'm feeling a little bit anxious about money or spending it, or I'm worried I may not get it. You distill that and see it as just a feeling. Feelings can't hurt you. Feelings aren't true. It's just energy moving through you. And you decide, but you know what? Money comes to me abundantly. Money comes to me easily and effortlessly.
And endlessly.
And endlessly. See, these are all things that we say probably every day, multiple times a day. So I hope you enjoyed.
One last thing,
Oh,
please.
Yeah, good.
I want you to try something. I want you to embrace this aspect of your life. So I want you to try something. Embrace the aspect of paying your bills. See it as a badge of honor. Embrace that there are certain things that need to be paid, because to truly appreciate that is to truly appreciate money. I'm going to be spending more. Of course I am, because I know that money's going to be coming towards me. I know that's part of my situation. Good, because that means that I'm in the energy of spending. That means that money will be coming for you to spend more. All right? It's a flow. And when you put power towards these type of things that are unconventional, it becomes conventional in order for you to attain and make more money if you know it's a flow. Why stop a flow? Because of scarcity. Embrace it because it's abundant. All right? Sorcerers are not scared of magic. They embrace it. It's how you utilize it. And that's the same with money.
Well, would you like to wrap this up today?
Oh, yes. There's me just being a person that just comes in there and, interrupts my wife.
No, you didn't interrupt.
I'm playing, I'm joking. But yes, it's been absolutely amazing. And I want you to like, share, comment, and check out our social medias. And we'll look forward to making the next one. Until the next one.
By the way, sorry to interrupt you. If you enjoyed this episode, I'm going to link a video below where we talked about how manifesting should not be hard. Head over there and check that out. And we will see you in the next video.
See you in the next video.